Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Trust and pray you had a magnificent weekend and invite you to be a part of what promises to be a marvelous Monday. You know, Billy Crystal, remember how you used to say it? Marvelous? Well, I won't try to say that, but it will be perfect as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job, a lot of them.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. We want you to be a part of our discussion, not to just to be informed but entertained, just to be involved and included, but to feel a sense that what we do is important because you're included. In the studio, the excellent company of Mr. Lee Frederick. Thanks very much for coming on. I was just trying to look back at my calendar. Was it a year ago or a century that you were here last?
I was good afternoon to Sterling and on our Cayman Islands. Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. And thanks also for the last minute notice. I spoke to Anita, and we were actually in a meeting. And after the meeting, I said, I need to call Anita or Susan to find out, if there's a possibility of that, of being on the radio at, the earliest convenience. And Anita said to me, call Sterling. I think he may probably have an opening for Monday afternoon.
I had just spoken with her, and she and all the team here, that's phenomenal. But this is where things happen, and there's not a coincidence. Because not after you messaged me, I just spoke to her prior to that. And I was saying, man, my schedule, this, and this. And she was here like all the team whenever they're scheduled, and even when they're not. And they're doing great work. And I think that's indicative of the commitment of our civil service. Doesn't matter if it's a Saturday or if it's a Friday night.
Yes.
They're here doing what needs to be done,
Always available.
So we're glad that we can accommodate you. And as we celebrate with our friends and family across the region, too often we forget that not only are we more alike, but there's a strong connection. There's a strong sort of interaction between us. And the more that we celebrate with all that are here, the more we start to realize that there's a need in the face, a place and a time, and a people that will have passion that we need to celebrate. Man.
Oh, yes, definitely. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And besides that, we also want to thank Radio Cayman in a whole for the opportunity. And, I've always classified Radio Cayman as the #1 station in our islands. It is, of course. There's none like it.
There's none
like it.
Yeah.
And, the availability that we as a people have, with Radio Cayman, is always there for the people. And it's good that we continue to have Radio Cayman and that our government will continue to sponsor it.
It's important, man. It is very evident. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, we celebrate, like everything, milestones in our lives. And we see that for history, and I'm saying this to ask you to share with us because we take for granted too much. And we see a world that has changed and is rapidly changing. We've seen a people across, different sort of jurisdictions starting to recognize what has happened in history from, some would say, a more accurate perspective. Some would say at least a different perspective. But I say that to share that we look at Cayman now, we look at Radio Cayman, relatively short history, maybe a 10-year period of trying to get it up and running. Come mid-70s, we get it rolling. Here we are now, 40-plus years later, understanding that whether it's a national issue, a natural disaster, or something that you just want to reach the community, you have the accessibility, you have the credibility, but you also have the invitation to come on board, to share, to be a part of it. And maybe we as a people own it, not just through our taxes, but own it because it is us.
Right.
And this is where the extension to you came, gladly.
I appreciate that. While you were saying that, goosebump came over my skin. You know why? Because I remember as a little boy, and very young boy growing up on the island, because originally from Bluefields. But then we went over to the islands due to the fact of my grandparents took their children over there in the early years, where they started working in the lobster business and grocery business and all those sort of things. And I remember from a little boy, the radio stations was being picked up on that island. And I remember the program that Norma McField, I remember that name very clearly. And this is something I said I always want to mention to you, or one of you here at Radio Cayman. And as you said, it's 40 years. And I can't imagine that over that 40 years, and now I'm here in Radio Cayman listening. When I was listening to it as a little boy in the islands, it was being picked up very clear. And I think Norma, Miss Norma at that time was given a program, like for instance was, I can't remember what the name of the program was, but it was pretty much like congratulating birthday, congratulations in terms of birthday, anniversaries, and soft music was playing at the time. But I can't remember exactly the name of the program that she was giving, but she was actually, I think it was actually at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, but also what I hear you saying is that, as a young boy, Miss Norma was that. So by inference, I'm just letting people.
I'm not implying anything.
No, I let people just take it on board. I mean, I had a good conversation with her earlier. Maybe I can have one later afterwards. But this just shows you how commitment. She, like many of the staff here and within the service, came in early and worked her way up in stage. So as an announcer, now she's director, head of the department, and that must mean that her contribution is invaluable. Her commitment is unquestionable, but also the passion and the enjoyment that she gets. You can see it. And whether we are listening to Radio Cayman within the Cayman Islands, or like you and many others, across the Western Caribbean, and I'm hoping, given some of the presentations I've had earlier, that as a people who live here, no matter whether we can trace ancestral roots or not, let's exhibit a strong, healthy respect for this place. And we celebrate with you, but we celebrate together because we want a safe, secure, very, very serene society that is civil, stable, but more importantly, has a greater sense of love for one another.
Yes. And
as you share with us, some of your history, it's going to resonate with a lot of us.
Yes, I think so. It's amazing to see our native or elderly of the past. That the Central American countries and South American countries that where they went to make a better living for their families. And that's what actually happened with my grandparents. They left these islands in the very early 1900s and went to Nicaragua to make a better living for their families, for their children. And actually, they made it their home. And, they worked very hard. They had their own businesses and everything like that. And pretty much, I never thought that, one day I would return to my roots.
Yeah, this is it.
It's quite amazing how life goes. But I'm very grateful to have been here, 31 years since I've been here. And, I'm just glad about that. I'm very happy about that.
Looking forward to celebrating my 28th birthday soon.
Yeah. You mean in the other life?
No, but I'm glad you shared that, because I think that as a people, we don't understand that. And this is why I'm grateful to Ray Banker in particular, as we look at the country and how we in the Cayman Islands have moved to many other parts, not just Nicaragua, but other parts of Central America, and the connection we have with Cuba, Honduras, the Bay Islands. These times we forget too easily and too quickly the connections that we have. And look at some names, they're family, but because of the way things were recorded, a letter got transposed, maybe a letter got sort of omitted for whatever reason. Maybe it was easier to go by something else, right?
Yeah.
And yet there is this strong connection when you look and talk to people. You go, oh, your grandfather and my grandmother, they were first cousins, or they were, you didn't know that. We need to harness that. We need to celebrate that.
Yes.
And we need to remind ourselves of, we are one.
Definitely. I mean, my grandfather was from East End, Alpheus Frederick. My grandmother was from Baden Town, Rosina Carter. So the combination of the East End and the Baden Town area, you know. And actually, when I just landed here, the first place I went to live was Bodden Town with my cousin, you know. So
it is evident that the people who were here in the 1800s, the early 1900s, you know, even before, they saw it, and I commend them for having that sort of, not just the industriousness, but the sense of adventure. But I also have to commend those who stayed, because it's a developing place. You know, it wasn't pristine and exotic and paradise that we want to romanticize. It was that, but it was also hard. You know, you hear from just those of us that have parents in the 80s and 90s or grandparents, and you hear how difficult it was to go from just one part of the district to the next. Some of it was inaccessible unless you went, you know, this way versus that way. Yeah. But to get from one district to the other, that could be a day's journey. And you walked and you overnighted, and people don't understand that. You know. I don't know.
I know it's something really hard to really, you know, put together in your mind. Because even living on the island when we were growing up, if we needed to go from one point to the other, it took quite some walking that we had to get. We would have said, you know, we're going around the other side of the island, you know, to pick up bread, to pick up, you know, our bread kind, as we would have called it. You know, so it's a big change.
And I think too, and I appreciate you sharing that too, and I think many of us don't understand that we're not talking about the 1800s or the 1900s. We're talking not just the 40s and 50s, not just the 50s, not just the 60s, but even the 70s, and to a lesser extent as it started to develop physical infrastructure, even the early 80s. But in the 70s, some places were impossible, inaccessible. The movement of people from one district to 2 or 3 districts beyond them wasn't as frequent as people, you know, take it today. You probably got a guy who's going to go from one end to the next twice a day, some days, for work, for leisure, for whatever, right? If you live in the West Bay, you wanted to go back it was a trek through the bush or a boat ride around the sun. Not like now where they got a 50-foot road and constant, you know, destruction, I would say, but that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, right. I know what you're saying.
All right, so when we come out from the break, share with us, you know, specifically a number of things. Give us the history. Give us an invitation. Would you do that for us?
Of course, we'll certainly do that. You know, we'll definitely give you some details of what we're planning in terms of for Independence Day coming up in
September. We're
not
going to call Carl because we missed him. We're not going to say, Carl, you should be here. We're not going to say, Carl. We're not going to mention Carl at all.
Not at all. No, he's totally out of the picture.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Carl one bit. Let's pause and take that break. When we come back, we'll talk today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Subway's giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
We're not ready for summer to be over. Parker's Raceway is offering an end-of-summer special for an all-out racing weekend, August 27th and 28th. Purchase one ticket, you get in for both days. Tickets are available in-store at Ace, Parker's, and online at parkersraceway.com. Don't forget to pick up your free kids ticket. We've got a whole new game area just for them. Shout out to our sponsors, Monster, Valvoline, AI Rentals, Event Pro, VP Racing Fuels, Parker's, NGK Spark Plugs, and Reliable Industries. Get your tickets for August 27th and 28th at parkersraceway.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us too. And if you want to share a thought, add your comment, pose a question, you just got a query. Well, 949-8037, 949-8037. Toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Lee Frederick joins us, and the Nicaraguan Independence celebrations. It's good to see more and more of the community coming out together to congregate, to fellowship. For us, I say this to share that over the weekend, as I was doing some reading relative to the potential impact that the last couple of years have had on learning, and in particular, are very young. So those, 3, 4, 5 year olds, even those before 3 years old, not interacting, they're not seeing people the way, I guess, people should see people, full face and all. What that would happen, to cause them developmentally down the road, well, we don't know. But this is a good time to be reminded of your history, connect to your people, and to see your community. Mm-hmm. The last time we came out, it was good fun. Looking forward to this time again.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because while you were saying what you just said a while ago, I was thinking about trying to remember the last time that we had we celebrated our independence.
Like 2 centuries ago, right? It feels like that. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, but the last time, as you said, we celebrated it. It was great. I mean, we had great fun and a lot of work, and we're looking forward to this time, which will be on the 17th of September. Actually, the 14th, I think, falls on the Wednesday, but because it's a work day, now we're putting it forward to the Saturday, which will be the 17th. But as you said, we had a great time that last time we had it, and we're going to pretty much almost the same thing. We may have some extra food on the menu. We will also have that greasy pole.
Carl,
we're looking forward to you, Sterling. You may probably want
me and Carl.
Okay.
I'll challenge him now. He go first, and
it will not be free. So your effort will definitely be paid off. Yeah, there will be a prize that will be given for the one who reaches the top, and so we're looking forward to that. Likewise.
Forgive me for putting you on the spot. Those greasy poles competitions over the years have always been part of different celebrations, right?
Yes.
Have you ever tried it?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. But it's fun, as you saw the last time. Someone trying to climb that greasy pole, and just as they make half the way, they just slide right back down. And
I remember the first time I saw it as a young fellow, and I thought, 2 problems. 1, it's greasy going up, coming down, not good. 2. Wait a minute. These clothes, that's it. No more. But to see people attempt, I've never seen anyone, make it all the way to the top. But I've seen people attempt, and just the effort, the laughter, the enjoyment, the sense of determination that some had. And I'm looking forward to see who's trying it. Carl, my money's on you, man.
Yes, and also as you mentioned, also in terms of the unity amongst yourselves, all those of us who lives here on our beautiful island, people from all over the world. We are inviting everyone. This is not specifically for Nicaraguans or Caymanians, it's for everyone who want to come and celebrate with us. Before we got on this station, I think I mentioned to you that we are pretty much celebrating 201 years since our independence.
Wow.
It was 1821 when we got our independence. And we have a great history. And besides having our independence in 1821, the country is divided into two departments, I would pretty much say right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Pacific and the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacific is more the Spaniards that lived on that side of the country. Mm-hmm. On the Atlantic, which would pretty much we would say is part of the Caribbean, that's where most of the Creole people lives, the English-speaking people lives. So, you know, we on the other end, in terms of being on the Atlantic coast, which is divided into two different areas. Likewise, you have the South Atlantic, which I'm from, and you have the North Atlantic, which other people are from. You know, Puerto Cabezas and those places. We also have our heritage, our history in itself, besides Nicaragua in a whole. You know, so we have a great history. As I said, 1821 we became independent from the Mexican Empire, and you know, we also had the British ruling over there at one point. Yeah, on the Atlantic coast especially. You know, they were there for quite some time. We were under the British rule at one point.
If I can ask you, and it's only for you to respond, but the question is more generally for everybody else. When we get involved with our sort of our cultural events, when we get involved with maybe celebrations like this, we tend to learn more about our history, not just the recorded history, if we can be able to access people who are a little bit older than us, and the oral history. If you wish, has that happened to you, and are there particular things that you learned that you didn't, not even in school, that you didn't really know, or that where if you knew they were confirmed? Anything stuck out?
Well, tell you what, we had history lessons when we were in elementary school and high school. Right. But there was a lot of things, as you just said, that we pretty didn't came across, or we were not thought of it because you know, maybe there were too much. But of course, you know, we sat with some of our older elderly, and they gave us a little bit more history of, because I never knew about the British rule. I never knew about, you know, at one point the Mexican Empire, we were pretty much controlled or involved with them at the same time. So there's also quite a bit of things that, you know, as you said, that you didn't get in school, or you didn't, you had no thought or no idea about those things, and they came across to you because of an elderly, someone who was there before us, you know.
And I think it may not be that way everywhere, but increasingly as I look at history, it seems that what was recorded is sanitized and presented by the recorder to paint a picture. If they want it to be something that's offensive to the people, they make sure, because they have the power to do so. If they want to perhaps make it look better, they do so. And I think that some of the events here in Cayman, by people who may not even have that strong connection, painting as historians a picture. And let's say, for instance, you're a teacher or lecturer in school, for instance, and you're saying something to students, they're impressionable. And if your thing isn't factual but is an opinion, mindful how that may come across. And if that thing is part of a dissertation or part of just a presentation, some scholarly paper, you know, if it's recorded over time, it could be lost. So just like how you were sharing, it doesn't mean that this came on. But Nicaragua has, you know, 2 centuries of independence. Even that could happen. You imagine Cayman that, you know, we've only got a still relatively unrecorded history. This is why I celebrate with you. We see the connections. We see that the Caymanians, like your grandparents, travel across the Caribbean, but across the globe. And now their lineage coming back to the shores and bring them with us, man.
As I've mentioned earlier, I never thought that I would be in Cayman one day. Never thought about it, because one of the time while I was in high school, a lady used to work here, Miss Victoria. She used to go back home for vacation. Her son and myself were very good friends. And I remember Miss Victoria said to me one time while she was visiting, she said, Lee, wouldn't you like to go to Cayman, where your grandparents came from? And I really didn't put it to mind. And the reason why I didn't, I was in high school. I never had the thought that I would want to leave home at that age to go somewhere else, you know. And, you know, it reflect back to my mind when I got here, or when I intended to come to Cayman. And I said, I remember those years very well when Miss Victoria said to me if I wanted to go to Cayman. And eventually it happened without even thinking of it.
That's it, man. Sometimes, who calls you, right? Lee, we have a caller online. Let's see who's on the line.
Yes.
Did you order any lunch? Because this could be it. Let's go.
Well, I hope it is.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, man.
Hey, how are you, man? See that? Son of the soil. Good afternoon, man.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, Lee too, man.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good, man. I keep Brian, man.
I can hear that voice, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, your voice is just as discernible as James Earl Jones, man.
Yes.
No mistaking you.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, we're speaking about Nicaragua and independence. I think I heard in the news that Nicaragua is planning on allowing Russia to sell them military arms.
Lee, boy, since you're the unofficial ambassador to the unofficial ambassador.
Tell you what, I'm not keeping up too much with the politics in regard to Nicaragua and their allies. But I first I'm hearing about that, and I really wouldn't want to get too much into that, in regard to the politics and the business they're doing with their allies, but because that's a different story in itself.
Okay, and when it comes to Honduras is now also joining up with China to help them with their financial problems also. I don't know what people think, but you see, if we get a government and people who are genuine and honest, Cayman could move forward as an independent country, and the value of our dollar would stay the same. But it's very hard for people to trust that decision because of what has happened to other countries who have went independent. But my personal belief, Cayman would be way better off independent than being under British rule. That's my personal belief. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks very much, man. And I, as I listen to the call, it kind of reminds us how we like the socioeconomic implications, but also the geopolitical. And given this, this space that we occupy in the Cayman Islands relative to where we are in the globe, when we look at the map, our lives are interconnected. And listening to that call, I'm reminded of our celebrations where not just, as you shared, the invitation is for all, but when we come, just look at the face of favor and the flavors of everybody that is there. There's a strong connection. There's an immediate recognition. Maybe it's because of the travel, but I think it's also because of the interactions and the sincerity of that. Cayman with the Central Americas, so to speak, to me, it just stands out. Whether you go to Cuba or the Bay Islands, whether you come to Nicaragua, I think of Mr. Jefferson Sr. and Swan Island, for instance. Who would have thought of leaving this space to go there? But like you shared, coming from there to here, where your grandparents were, well, you're going from small to big, big to small.
Yes,
back again. Just gotta do it, man. Just gotta do it.
Yeah. But what is very important for us is that we recognizes these things. That we share a bond with these other countries.
Right.
Even though you may not have a heritage here, or never had a heritage here, but in some way or the other, we have a connection.
Yeah.
And thank God that we have the availability of these islands to embrace at the time of in the time of need. Yeah. The same thing as our grandparents or our great grandparents had in those years. Can you imagine in the early 1900s? Pretty much what were we? What was Cayman in that time?
Peaceful, tranquil, loving, kind. Actually, I got an email to read later on to talk to, and that's kind of why this independence celebration may harken back to those times, because we allow others to paint a picture that is negative. Their comments may be offensive and egregious. But if you do as you share, stop and reconnect and be reminded. You can rekindle those relationships, but I think you can have a renewed sense of respect.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
And we're losing that quickly.
Yes.
I joke and say it's 2 centuries ago, but it does feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
That afternoon wasn't just about family, friends, and fellowship and food. It was about community.
Yes.
And in a way that was inclusive. And I think we're missing that.
Yes. I think overall, even at home, in our small circle, we're missing it. And I think with your young generation, with your children, I think the touch has been lost. Mm-hmm. Where we don't associate much in terms of a community or friends or families or relatives. Right. Everyone is pretty much we're pretty much in our own corners.
Yeah, feel like we're on an island ourselves. So.
Yeah,
all right.
We
got a break.
Yes.
Mr. Paul, is that where we're going? And Lee, when we come back,
remind
us specifically. We got up until 1, but you got your time to share, man. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Okay.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from September 1st till September 8th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointments today. That is 946-9020.
Flex, it's what's next. Flex is a line of 24-volt cordless power tools for professional craftsmen. Now through October 1st, you will receive a free 5-amp-hour battery with the purchase of a Flex Bare tool and charger, as well as instant savings of up to $150 on a $500 purchase. All Flex tools that you buy this year will be covered under the Flex Founders Lifetime Warranty. Get what's next at A.L. Thompson's now through October 1st.
Water Authority customers are reminded that they must ensure the authority has unobstructed access to its water meters at all times. This means customers should not restrict access to any water meter by building a wall, fence, cement foot, or garbage enclosures around or near the meter. Enclosures that restrict access limit the ability of the authority staff to read meters, conduct routine checks, and carry out repairs. The authority reserves the right to discontinue any account where access to the water meter has been restricted. If customers plan to build a fence, the fence should be dog-legged around the meter, or customers should have the meter relocated to a location within the property where it remains unobstructed. Customers should contact the Water Authority to seek guidance from our quality assurance team by calling 949-2837 or emailing info@waterauthority.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks for joining us in the studio, Lee Frederick, as we talk about the Nicaraguan Independence celebration. And he promises to share with us not just the invitation, but what's going to happen, when, where, and You say the 17th of September. Not that long ago, right?
No, you bet.
Not that long to go. Let's see, a couple of days.
Yes.
Miss Norma is going to give us the actual. Just kidding. All right, tell us, Lee.
Before we go there, in regard to actually some of the details of that celebration, also I mentioned that we have 201 years since we became independent, and I looked into searching a little bit more in terms of our country. And I discovered that the country was actually discovered in 1522. So that brings us to almost 500 years since the country was actually discovered. Yeah. You know, so that's a great milestone.
And can you imagine that, right? Here, according to our history books, came on was 1503. Now, I don't know if you can discover something that already exists, but that's when it was happened upon in my mind. But there's a little speck on the map, you know, kind of relative speaking to, you know, but again, if the history of our books recorded it accurately, we stumbled upon 1503 a few years before you know. But yeah, look at the development and look at the connection.
Yes.
Time to keep it together. Man.
Yes, definitely. No doubt about that. Okay, thanks again, Sterling. Just let me say a little bit more in regard to what will take place on that day. The 17th of September, we're planning that this will be starting at least midday. We want to be on time, 12 o'clock. Right, so during the course of the morning time, we'll get all of those things put together at the location. We're hoping that we'll be able to get this done at the park, same Foster's Park, government park, right next to Foster's.
And the airport in town?
Yes, at the airport there, right there. So we're planning to have it there 12 o'clock. I want to make sure that, you know, we have everything prepared for our people, for our visitors, all those who will be celebrating with us. So at 12 o'clock, and we decided to do that mainly because of, you know, it's lunchtime, and we want people to really enjoy the food. So we will be having things, food in regard to, these are some of the things which I will mention right now. We will have vigorong. That's a cassava thing with the fried pork and cabbage salad and different. We will also have frito, carne asada, gallo pinto, mondongo soup, and chop suey. So those are things on the menu which will be available for that day. Cakes and desserts, your favorite. Cassava cake, plantain tarts, buñuelos, picos, patties, and Johnny cake, which also will probably go with one of the lunch. Yeah. Natural drinks, we'd have some pinolilla. That's a corn drink that we usually have. Horchata, semilla jícaro, arroz con piña, tamarind, lemonade, of course. Those are...
So rice with pineapple, huh?
Yes, rice, pineapple. And we will also have some entertainment as we started talking about the greasy pole. That will definitely... You better bring an extra suit of clothes
Carl's challenge.
So we'll be having that. We're also having some folkloric dances with the program. And quite a bit of different things we will be having out there that evening. So we want to, as I've said earlier, we want to make sure that, you know, the invitation is extended to every single individual that lives on this island or inner islands. If you're living in Cayman Brac, you're welcome to take a flight and come down and participate with us. Cayman, Little Cayman, any one of those places.
Take the catboat and come over if
necessary. Yeah, yes. So we're looking at this, you know, this event taking place on that particular day. We also will be having a meeting on this Saturday coming. To follow up on the previous meeting in regard to, you know, all the putting together of this event. And, you know, anyone willing to come and give us a hand, they're welcome to come to this meeting. As I said, this is not only about the Nicaraguans celebrating their independence, but it's a celebration for everyone who is willing to come and participate with us. And if you have an extra hand, an extra effort that you have within you, strength or willingness to come and give us a hand, we would truly appreciate that.
And I think this is where the strength of the community, not just the invitation for all on Sunday to come on board, but for us to offer up. We live and work here. You know, what my brother talks about, you know, this is where your bread is buttered. You want to make it that inclusive, welcoming place, and I'm excited for you, man.
Yes, I truly appreciate that, man. Truly looking forward to it. As I said, the last time was like you said, almost a century ago since we had the last one celebration. But you know, in spite of what the world is going through right now, you know, we want to. It's a time, I think, Sterling, as we look back on what we have just gone through in terms of the COVID, it's 2 years and more, and you know, everybody's pretty much. as I said, still stuck into that little corner.
Yeah.
You know, it's
what
time
was
for
2
us-
weeks now is 2 years, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, let's get out, enjoy yourselves in the right manner, and make much of life. In spite of what it is, what the world is going through right now, be optimistic and, you know, just enjoy yourself and make the best of life.
And I'll say this, and certainly be guided by those who wish to add to it. But you're outdoors, you're in a park. It's good fresh air and sunshine. Come with the family, bring the children, whether it's you're very young or it's your adolescent, the teenagers, bring them so that they can start to interact, socialize, reconnect. For some of them, they don't have to have the, as you said, you know, the Nicaraguan connection. They just need to understand that we're people. Put a name in the face of a place, connect with people, see, understand, and associate so that you realize it. Like you, they're people. And you'll see how much more you're like.
Yeah.
And look alike, sound alike. Hey.
Yes. You know, what I think is important is that for our children, and probably I'm not certain much about their education department, but I think history has to be taught. It has to be taught. You know, I mean, as I said, we had history in our school, elementary and high school. And I think it's something very important that each individual should know their history.
Yeah, man. And I think the African proverb that we've all probably heard in some form, you know, not until the lion learns to write, you know, will the hero always be the hunter. You have to record it from your perspective. And it's not about reinterpreting. It's not about, you know, taking history and changing it in such a way that it reflects what you want, but about an accurate, you know.
Yeah, just like it is, just like it was, or what it is. Yeah.
And it's crucial. It's when the revisionists, as we nicely euphemistically termed them, but in short order, if that becomes, you know, what is accepted, then no longer we'll see, you know, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Right? We need to see it, man, and that way we connect. Yeah,
a very good point. Is while you were saying that, I'm thinking about you take a photo, right? And you snap a photo, a photo shot, and you look back at the photo and you say, but it doesn't look like that, you know? And I think that's what sometimes we want to do with history.
Yeah.
We want to change it from what it actually was, just to suit the situation or point of view or whatever. No, just say it like it is.
Yeah, man. Make it real.
Yes, make it real.
You know,
make it real.
If you look back to some of the photos where you look good because you have that pose, okay, you look good. But the photos that caught you laughing with your friends that you didn't realize were being taken, they're real. You might have that food in your face, might be all, you know, what is so screwed up because you would in this fit of laughter. But that's the memory, right, that you might recall as opposed to that polished Photoshop photo that you got posted online. Look at my life, it's all perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. We see behind the veil, bro.
Yes. I think our time is up, but I just want to say thank you, Sterling, for giving me the opportunity to talk about independence coming up. And I'm grateful for the entire staff here at Radio Cayman. And once again, everyone is welcome for the 17th of September. And we will also give a follow-up in terms of what is taking place due to, hopefully, you know, you never know. Something may happen, God forbid, you know.
That's it, man. Keep us posted how we can help you, and the community accepts the invitation.
Yes.
Let's have fun on the Saturday the 17th,
Appreciate
midday at the airport park.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a blessed week.
All right, you too.
All right, let's pause and take a break. And after the news, there's a Tiny Desk concert. I wonder what that's about. Well, you want to find out? Join us after the break.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. On Wednesday, Cayman will lift travel restrictions to and from the jurisdiction, and His Excellency the Governor used the announcement to remind residents that vaccines remain Cayman's insurance policy and encouraged folks to get their boosters. In international news, Russia has accused Ukrainian special services of killing the daughter of one of Vladimir Putin's allies in a car bombing near Moscow at the weekend. Journalist Daria Dugina, aged 29, died on Saturday when a vehicle she was driving exploded near Russia's capital. Her prominent ultra-nationalistic father, Alexander Dugin, said to be close to Mr. Putin, may have been the intended target of the attack. Ukrainian officials have denied any involvement in the explosion. Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin has tested negative for drugs, the government says, after she was seen dancing, singing and drinking at a recent party. Ms. Marin agreed to take the test on Friday to allay concerns about her behavior. She says she has never taken drugs and denies doing anything illegal at the party, but says she drank alcohol. A leaked video shows her partying with friends, including a Finnish pop star. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com. Beyond Basics Medical, leaders in laser and skincare of the Cayman Islands, providing advanced technology in skin, body, and hair, offering laser hair removal, vaginal tightening, threading, laser wrinkle reduction, hair loss restoration, hydrofacials, body and face slimming, vein therapy, laser tone correction, microneedling, high-frequency dermaplaning, medical peels, chirotherapy, skin tag wart removal, and laser scar revision. Long-term and significant transformations and results for multiple concerns starts with contacting Beyond Basics Medical. Call us at 916-SKIN. Visit us on the 3rd floor of the Tomlinson Building above Tomlinson Furniture, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond Basics Laser.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And on behalf of the National Trust, sort of in partnership in a sense, and they'll tell you more about it with the Cayman Arts Festival. We got a chance to chat with the Historic Programs Manager over the National Trust, Mrs. Stuart Wilson. You know, the Savannah Schoolhouse in itself as a building, it's something intriguing about it.
Yeah.
This history.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this, well, you get us to tell us more about it, but get a chance to showcase the Trust, to put its buildings more in the public domain, the musicians to be showcased in this historical setting.
100%, Dwayne. I mean, thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to come in and talk about this. You know, it's a time in the community now when a lot of people are interested in their culture and their heritage. And that old Savannah Primary Schoolhouse was sort of the first formal building for education in the Cayman Islands, built in 1941. And it was in use all the way up until 1981. And, you know, the National Trust now, it's one of our properties that we have as a sort of a museum or a national heritage site where people can go and appreciate it. And you know, sort of, we had a little girl come from Triple C the other day, do her school project on it. We were really proud. That's the kind of thing that we want to encourage. You know, a lot of people come here and but they're not familiar with some of the more sort of the pillars of our society in terms of the buildings and the heritage and the built heritage and some of the places where some of the very important things in our history and our the sort of progression and trajectory of our people, you know.
And think about it. We look at the Cayman now. It's probably hard for some people to realize that not just 40 years ago, things were different.
Yeah.
And in a very short time, not only has there been, quadrupling of the population, but in some cases maybe tenfold.
Yeah.
Right? You've got changes. Marius, I recall in the early days when you get the Cayman Arts Festival off ground, Glenn's vision, him and Ms. Metcalf, is being realized. The students now are being showcased internationally. The talent that you would find in Europe, you're finding in Mozambique. You find it in these things.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Marius makes a great partner for us because what we want to do now with some of these built heritage buildings is showcase some of the musical, talent and poetry and all these different types of things, and we're doing it in the format of a tiny desk. Sort of performance like the ones you would see on NPR, National Public Radio in America, where they have the tiny desk, and it's a scaled down version of a bigger performance. And the Cayman Arts Festival is helping us with that, and I'll let Mr. Marius talk about that.
I was smiling when you mentioned that only 40 years ago it was different here. One of the questions, and it was in the email, he will confirm that what it was like. Okay, if we come to perform there, do we have AC? Do we have... And I was like, no, my friend. You will come here. We'll open the windows.
Yeah.
We will have some plug-in just to kind of connect the keyboards for them, for the kids to have some chairs.
Right.
We want to send you back in time.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, we want 2 events to kind of go there, relax, and remember how it was 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And now coming back, we like to partner. We like to partner with other entities, and this is it's like a glove for us because we are always in need of finding venues to perform. And I will double checking this morning again to be sure that I don't miss one. I have a list with all their sites from pictures. It's like, I think we can do something here. I think we can do something here. And tiny desk events, it's perfect for 20, 25, 30 people. We don't need to crowd too much there. It's the idea of experiencing a live event in cozy areas, and they offer us this opportunity.
As you shared, I'm thinking back to like the chamber music, someone's, atrium, a small space, and they came in and there was this performance. Sort of like that, how you would see in other jurisdictions that were, I don't want to say it for the bourgeoisie, but this is more, hey, come, enjoy, and see, and be showcased.
Yeah, and the funny thing with these buildings, these older buildings, the wattle and daub structures, with the ironwood, we would want to see more of them, but because of the coding in our planning sort of coding and stuff, I don't think you'll see many more of these buildings come into existence ever.
Are they even stronger than some of the crop that's being built?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, did I say crop? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So they certainly are. They tend to breathe well in storms, and they stand up well in winds and the stilts. They do well in flooding. I mean, they're just really sort of durable little homes. A lot of them still you find them after.
What's craftsmanship?
Craftsmanship is a big part of it, I tell you. Like I say, I mean, right now I'm trying to get a meter put in that little schoolhouse, and it's been very difficult to do, just because of the coding and all this kind of stuff like that. So, I mean, even if you're a enterprising young person, you want to build a little building like this and stuff like that, it's probably very difficult to do. So, I mean, these ones that we do have, we wanna make the most of them, appreciate them, and sort of showcase them. And this is a great opportunity because the kids that are going to be playing the music here, I think it's wind instruments and some...
Yes, that's correct.
Some wind instruments and maybe a violin or two and some keyboard. Mrs. Fran McConvey is going to be there, and so I mean it's going to be a really nice atmosphere. I think this is something great for the family.
I wonder what acoustics like in that building.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out on Thursday.
It's a small space.
Yeah.
It's a small space. This will not be I'm not sure if this one will be an issue. I'm not a musician, but I don't think that will be an issue. I want to add a bit of juice here. On this. We tried. I called Miss Fran before. Said, okay, tell me where we are with the program and so on. And she mentioned that I tried. Because the space is very limited, we decided to go with the maximum a quartet, and she will be in the back with the keyboards just to support the quartet. But she tried to find students from Savannah Primary School, former students, because we have, when we started the program, our first kids, they were from Georgetown Primary School and Savannah Primary School. And some of them, they are not only, they graduate, now they are some of our tutors, so they help the kids. So some of them, they will be there performing.
This is Thursday coming.
4
and then 5:30.
Yes.
Tell us more, Stuart.
So we got one segment of the show that's happening at 4, and then another installation happening at 5:30. So there'll be two shows. If you can't make the 4 o'clock one, you can. It's a little bit. One is happening a little bit later at 5:30, and you can come on out to that one. It's. I think for me personally, I want to see. Off the back of this one, I'd like to see us do more of these. Maybe some at the Mission House eventually as well. But we want to get that little school functional. It's Mission House has always been our flagship site, but we want to include many more of it. It's keeping in with our strategic objective for the next couple of years is to really bring more of our sites online and make them functional and to have these kinds of events at them. So the Tiny Desk is perfect. Great opportunity for the kids to showcase their musical talent, and it's a great opportunity for the sort of wider public to come and see what it was like to be in a building like that. 40 years ago or 50 years ago or 60 years ago even. And we're going to have to open it up. I'm not going to use any fans or anything, but the breeze blows through there like you would never believe, and it's so cool. So I'm hoping everyone will come out and sort of support the show, support the kids.
When you mentioned to come back just to enjoy it, I remember when I've been some years ago to our school reunion, and I was going to my old desk and I was touching, said, "Oh my God, this is me. This is where I scratch it. This is where." So we've been inside and we saw how it is, and I bet that there are so many persons that they will come and say, "This was my bench. Let me sit now." And I know that it will not be a teacher to assess me today. I'm just enjoying here.
There's a cute little space, it's very quaint. Like I said, when you open up the windows, it's well lit. I think the men back then knew where to place these buildings just perfectly. And it's the same kind of thing at Pedro Castle. When you go upstairs at Pedro Castle, the wind is just moving around in a circle. And it's a lot like that with the old schoolhouse. When you open it up, the breeze is blowing through in a perfect circle. And it's the lighting is just right. So you don't really need any of the sort of modern day amenities in there really, because it's just the way that they build them and the way they situate them. They tend to sort of capture the most light and the most breeze.
Well, I'll share with you one of the messages I'm exchanging with one of the listeners, but we're speaking to Marius and Stuart, and Thursday, sort of the Tiny Desk concert. This listener is saying that the way and you referenced it too earlier, Stuart, the way the buildings were built then, not just the wood and they breathe, but the elevated sort of breeze is there, and then the way the windows are positioned, you get the cross breezes. It would be good for us to go experience it and appreciate not what it was like then, but what we have now.
Yeah,
from the conveniences, but also the talent. And sometimes you just need to have your senses engaged,
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a nice one, I think, and we're gonna tape it and sort of maybe see if we can talk to Donna and the people here at CIG TV and see if we can maybe put it on there and have a few sponsors involved and kind of air it live sometime or something like that. We want to expand. I mean, this is the first one, and but I think that there's potential there for it to grow.
And music, there's something about music, and hopefully did it correctly, as I drew the analogy with the chamber music from way back when. We may have seen performances, we may have attended them ourselves, we may have heard about it. They go in an intimate setting, not just the size of it, but the people are there and the environment to sort of create an appreciation for something, whether it's music or whether it's poetry or whether it's sometimes even a culinary display.
Yeah.
We bring people together.
So we do a lot of the cassava cake classes at the Mission House.
But I didn't see it here. Bro.
You need to.
Bro, come on now. I mean, do I need to say to you?
I'll talk to Miss Norma and see if we can have some here at Radio Cayman.
Even just been a cassava cake. Tell Miss Denise to.
Yeah.
I mean, we will receive, I just saying, okay?
Marius, what do you think about that?
I think a good idea.
I like to eat. I don't know.
See?
I would love to learn.
Indeed, absolutely. We want to have some lectures at the at some of these built heritage sites as well.
Mm-hmm.
People talking about, sort of the building process and stuff like that. But, we thought we'd start with music because, it's kind of a way to get everyone involved. And, it's the whole sort of ambiance of the ensemble and the camaraderie of the musicians and all this kind of thing. And, I think it's a great way to kick things off. Marius, can you say anything about what types of music they'll be playing?
You read my mind.
I have here, it will be a combination of classical music and Caymanian songs.
Beautiful.
Just in
Caymanian songs?
Yes. Caribbean songs.
No. That's the difference, Are we saying Caymanian songs? Or are we saying
this is what I was told,
masquerade?
Caymanian songs. So we'll have Dequan. That will be one of the four that will perform in the quartet. If you don't know at this moment, Dequan, it's probably the first Caymanian that was accepted at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. He's playing cello, and he's here till end of September before going to university. And it's one of the finest products that, you should listen to him to understand.
We got top class guys coming out of here.
The other three students also, they are really good students. One of them already it's working with us as a tutor, Jesse Wadler. And we have two other, Garson Gardiner and Daniel Gale, because we don't have that much space there. But all of them, they were to camps with us. They've been here with us for 5, 6, 7 years of practice. We send them abroad to camps there, so they are very good performers.
We have a question from one of our listeners asking if and I messaged, but we'll repeat it. It's Thursday. There are two showings, so to speak, two performances, 4 and 5:30. And the question is the ensemble, the quartet, for the same for both the 4 and the 5:30?
Yes. In initial stage, when we start planning this, we realized that it's a small space and we wanted to offer more to the public, and we realized that this is the best solution to have two shows one after another. They are 45-50 minutes the show, and it's a bit of break. Everybody is relaxing a bit, and then we start the next show.
Because let's start your performer. Between sets sometimes,
I would like to add something here, because when you mentioned that we will start with this, we started actually something similar some 3-4 years ago at the public library. Yes. And we had to stop after Tropical Storm Grace, and then COVID came, and we will restart next month. We will have our first event again at the library. But the former director of the public library, the late Paul Robinson, he mentioned to me a few months before passing away, he said, you guys, you brought life again into this old building. So this is something that we, in initial stage, it was like first come, first serve, tickets at the door, and we just build up. When we, last year, Dequan also, he was the last who performed there, we were having a waiting list.
Yeah.
We were having a waiting list. So that might be something that I'm very optimistic, to be honest.
Absolutely, and I mean, we're showcasing our people as well as our heritage and these buildings. It's a great way for these young people to. I mean, they've traveled all over the world with their music, and they've developed so much. It's good for them to be able to share it at home. Especially in the setting of their cultural sort of backdrop. I think it's great.
But some of the story that you mentioned, and I'm going to get into why and the potential wherefores, but there's so much talent here, not just untapped, undiscovered, but uncelebrated.
Yeah.
And we don't see it. It's not to offend anybody. It's just to ask us to stop, take a look, and appreciate what you have. It's like the food from your own stove, from your own kitchen. It's good, right? But do you value it? Do you appreciate it? Do you take it for granted? One day that stove isn't producing the food because the person that was in the kitchen taking the heat is no longer doing it for whatever reason, right?
Right.
Too bad you miss it when it's gone, right?
Yes, indeed. I think that's something that we should be it's something that we are trying to fight against, and I think that it's just time. I think for a period of time, the synergy has been lost. I think like you mentioned, things happen so quickly in Cayman. We went from a sleepy fishing village to a financial mecca in just about 30 years. And I think that we as a people are still adjusting to that. And I think where everybody was running to be a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant, and then I think some of the art, somewhere along the line, the arts got lost in that shuffle. Yeah. I think that's kind of my that's my estimation.
I think you're right too. And this is what I was saying to Marius, that Caymanian folk songs, Caymanian music, Caymanian. It's not that we're not celebrating globally or regionally, but there is a difference, and we need to be careful that as we integrate, assimilate, and acclimate, we've got to make sure that we don't decimate.
Yeah.
Some get rap song coming to the beat in the night to go. And I even call that calls, but it's true, because the 5,000 Caymanians are left, right, and 100,000 population. It's easy to see the jack amongst the fries, right?
Yeah.
But you don't appreciate the importance of the fries.
You got to be very brave, I think, to be an artist, to be in arts, especially when you are the minority within a space, even if it's your own space.
Yep.
Because you could be in your house, and you could have guests over. There are more guests than there are of the family that lives there. Even the family that lives in the house begins to feel a bit like there, So I think that it's important for us to continue to be brave in terms of how we present ourselves in the music or the arts or whatever we're doing. There's a level of courage that has to come along with putting yourself out there.
And this is why I like the partnership, as Marius. I mean, you speak. But as I was listening to you, here's a partnership. It's not a CAF, Cayman Arts Festival event. This is the National Trust doing a thing, showcasing it. You're partnering, showing.
And we need more stuff like this. I think the partnerships are where it's at. When we welcome these kinds of things, whether it's arts or even commercially with some of our corporate partners. We want to do more things there, and the potential is really great for sort of expressing some of what we have here, home cooked stuff, homegrown talent, music, whatever the case may be.
And if we live here, we appreciate it. Just as an example, the event has come and gone, but it was a wonderful evening. For those who were in attendance, it was wow. I didn't think this. I'm glad I took time. The National Gallery just a few evenings ago, Mr. Nastarius Kushalet, with other poets, had a wonderful evening of poetry. Now you come, I think, like with church, are you coming to receive? You bringing something good with you? Are you receptive to what's happening? For me, it resonated. It was phenomenal.
Well, Nasaria Suku is I think a national treasure for Cayman. You
think I we could probably put it in a museum and get money for it?
I mean, she's like,
is that what you're saying?
She's like Cayman's Miss Lou. She's got that thing, and I think that more of us need to be brave and express ourselves. First and foremost, I think we all have that creative ability. We sometimes lose it along the way.
Courage.
It's just a level of courage.
Yeah.
I just want to add here that our first music at the library will be music and poetry at the library with Nasaria Suko. So it will be at the end of
I saw
September.
Good stuff.
So you read my
notes.
My notes.
I was in with you because I remember that first evening at the library, and I think your as you said, the enthusiasm and the partnership with Stuart.
4 years.
Yeah.
Well, except the last one, but
4 years.
Every
2
month.
centuries.
Every month, we had 10 people in the audience, 100 people in the audience. We were doing no matter what.
Yeah,
so we'll continue doing that.
And I'm hopeful about Stuart. I always enjoy your company, and I know you'll get back to work. So in the closing minutes, this Thursday, we want to get
this Thursday. The tickets are available. Either you can come and call the National Trust at 749-1121. You can get in contact with me at 925-8569. Marius, is there
the website?
The website.
The tickets are
nationaltrust.org.ky. Events. It's on. You can go on our Facebook page, National Trust for the Cayman Islands, and you'll see the events there as well. And we really encourage everybody to come on out on Thursday either at 4, the first showing, or at 5:30, the second showing. And it's the children. We're going to have an ensemble. It's going to be some wind instruments, some string instruments, and Miss Fran McConvey on the keyboard. They're going to be playing some classical music as well as some Caymanian numbers from yesteryear. And it's going to be at the old Savannah Schoolhouse in Savannah. And that's just in front of the old Savannah Primary School. And if anybody got any questions, feel free, like I say, to give me a call, 925-8569.
So we can say that there will be only 40 winners?
Yeah.
In the initial stage.
Yeah, and the ticket prices, should we say something about the ticket prices? So the ticket prices are $35 for adults, $25 for kids. We have a capacity of maybe about 20 people per show. We're getting close to sort of being sold out at the moment, so we encourage people to get their tickets now if they're going to get them. The reason why it's a little more, I would say, on the, I don't want to say pricey side, but it's not, we could have a lower price point, but because of the cost involved with sort of just getting this thing together, and, we as the National Trust, being a non-profit organization, we have to try our best to make it work for everyone. And there are a few different players involved in terms of, the Cayman Arts Festival, the National Trust, and there's a lot of man hours involved, So it's $35 for adults, $25 for kids, and 10% off for National Trust members. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
If there are persons that might not be able to attend, but they want to sponsor somebody else, a senior citizen, to attend, that would be great.
Any companies out there that would like to sponsor, and a group of people, maybe even from the Pines or wherever, to come along and see what's going on, we're happy to accommodate that as well. So,
Well, I'm looking forward to maybe further discussions. To you, Marius, it's good to see this partnership.
Thank you, my
always
friend.
A pleasure, man.
Always, man, Dwayne. Thank
right.
you so much for having us.
All right.
Yeah.
This Thursday, I'll tell you more about the show and rules, but.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
No, that's okay, man. I feel, the emotion, the passion, my friend.
Marius is coughing here.
The tear.
I'm not sick. I'm just got a bit of water.
No, it's the passion, it's the emotion. He can feel it,
Yeah.
The tears come to his eyes as he rinses. All right. It's all good.
Yes.
All right, let's pause. Let's call it that. And when we come back, more talk today.
Thanks, Jane.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
J&M Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J&M Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J&M Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable. J&M Money. J&M Money. Touching down again. J&M Money. Ranga to la friend.
How confident are you that your golden years will be, well, golden? Introducing the RF Pension Plan, offering innovative solutions to help you retire your way. Formerly the Fidelity Pension Plan, the RF Pension Plan now delivers strong investment returns, superior management, and additional products designed to help you meet and exceed your financial goals. Contact RF today to find out how you can unlock a 25% discount. Make your golden years golden with the RF Pension Plan. Learn more at rfgroup.com.
The 6:30 p.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first. Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Just less than an hour or so according to the digital clock on the display for today's program, but if you watch some sports, 10 seconds can seem like 20 days. And if you listen to what transpired in the last couple of years, 2 weeks to flatten the curve becomes 2+ years that feels like 2 centuries. So we know how that is, right? 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. You got something to say? As a friend of mine said, man, I got something stuck in my craw. If you're not quite sure that colloquial expression, well, I'm sure it's going to resonate with many of you. But we want to listen. Try hard to understand. But at the very least, be an attentive ear. So share your thoughts. Let us hear what you have to say. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. If, our listener to share this thought would allow me to share it publicly, because I think it's important. It resonates with some of us. And maybe given the discussions thus far from our guests, maybe it's important to hear it. And I'll share it with you and tell you what someone else said and why. Well, let's take this call first. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good evening, Dwayne. How you doing? Elvis here, man.
Man, listen. I pray that you got a little long, man. You crossed my mind earlier.
Yeah,
how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Enjoying the rain. Beautiful rain over here in the Bronx.
Awesome, man. Because I know sometimes, you just got to enjoy it as it comes, right?
Yeah, brother. Well, I was trying to get on this morning. And I know, well, I hope they will hear it. I want to congratulate the Park government for their bold move and making a move on the decriminalization of ganja. I want it full, but you can take what you can get for now, right?
Mm.
No, Dwayne, I have been singing a subject now for 10, 12 years, right? Non-stop, right? Now, I got sing another thing pertaining to the same thing. Now I am encouraging and I am begging on the young Caymanians, please join the police force. Help to protect our country. The stigma is out the way now that you have to lock up your little friend for marijuana. Your little friend, you don't have to lock him up no more. You have to lock up the guy that is destroying our country. Because it's on a country. I'm on my way out. And I am asking our parents, whoever you are, Caymania, we need to get, there's two things we need. We need to get teachers that are Caymanian to teach our children, and we need to get police that are Caymanians to protect our people, protect our island, protect our home. Agree? That is what I am begging now. And like I said, because I spoke to the politician about this before, but the last government, and that didn't go nowhere, their mind was on to build a big prison, you know, because they've seen something that I didn't see. But anyhow, I am now asking all young Caymanian women and children, because dream was a thing that a lot of the little young Caymanians would not join the force because they say, and they told me as the elder, by Mr. Elvis, we don't want to lock up our little friend that went to school for smoking a little spliff. Right? And that was a hindrance to them. Because, let me tell you, the foreign police are looking after their own. Young Caymanians, please step up to the plate and look after our own country. All right? Green, thank you very much for the time, sir.
You're welcome, man. And I was only going to ask a question. You can choose to answer if you want, but I just wanted to put it there. Based on what you just shared, right, there was a perception. We've heard it echoed a number of times here from even former police officers and other sort of senior members of our community who shared that there seemed to be a perception that when Caymanians applied to certain posts, including, you know, police officers, prison officers, and the like, for some reason they didn't make the pass. They weren't accepted. Now, could be for whatever the justifiable reasons were given. But if that's the case, how do we address that?
Well, I am telling you, one of the reasons, because I said this over and over before, I know young Caymanians that when they join the force, or when they go and join the force, but they have, I hope you know you guys lock up your little friend together.
Right. But
that was a deterrent.
Yeah.
That was a deterrent to stop them from going.
Right.
Right.
But someone had said that. Sorry to cut you. Someone said that, you know, they would apply, but for some reason they didn't get. My words, they didn't get the call back, or they didn't progress through the application. Now, we've heard reasons given as to some of it, from education to physical fitness and the like, which was countered by other members of the community to say, but look at that person there, you know, it don't look like they're that physically fit. No, looks could be deceiving. They don't seem to be, even now in uniform, that academically inclined. But again, you know, that's just one person's perception. So if that is part of the impediment, what can we do to make sure that the caliber of applicants from the Caymanian, you know, population is better and increases their chances of being successfully recruited?
Well, let me tell you something now. It's very few people in Cayman been arrested more than Elvis just in the Keyworm. And if you see some of the writing, some of the wording that the foreign police put down on their statement, there are things that make you go, Because I don't know how I would graduate, but I read a lot and I know what it means. I may read it spell that good, but when I read it, you understand what I'm saying?
I think I'm hearing you.
There is a click in our judicial system that do not want Caymanian there, and we have to work on that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things was about the ganja. When you're young Caymanian, you don't have to go into your friend's house and lock him up for one stick no more. But if he breaking somebody's yard or house, you have to go and lock him up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
When they wanted to stop the groupers, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They had big campaign, and all the schools got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have that campaign every year, every month in the high schools, starting from the junior schools, encouraging the children to join the police force. Why? Why not?
Yep. But is it then that as a society, and as you shared that, I'm thinking to, the recent census data, are we going to look at it and try to figure out what it means for us? But if, just generally speaking, and I'll be guided by others who have another perspective, if the Caymani population is maybe 15-25% of the population, and given a relatively small number of people that are Caymanian in this country, every and any job that is available, there's only so much for us that can go around. So are we, A, not understanding that socio-dynamic, B, if we're not appreciative of what it means to develop our country, so policing and the justice system, from the prison officers to our teachers to everything else, if we're not putting our people in those key positions, how is that going to impact us down the road in terms of the societal impact?
Well, it just like I just get to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I just get to listen to you guys show about the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was the youngest to record the Cayman Islands playing drum with Regeneration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when my father was a seaman, my uncle was a captain,
mm-hmm.
and my father wanted me to go to sea with him. I said, Dad, I don't like that. I like camp work, and I like music. The music into me from my mother and my father themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love the music. And I was very much discouraged by my own parents when my mother loved it. My mother bought me, God rest her soul, and my father. My mother bought me my first set of drums for Christmas, right?
Right.
My very first set of drums that I owned.
Right.
And she saved money the whole year to buy me that set of drums. But she wanted me to do that. My father didn't want it, but she loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Now the same thing with the children that come up. Look here. You got to stop telling the children, because some of them beating the children head out. Oh, don't join police force. Police not no good. Police corrupt. Police not.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop that. We have to make the children know, listen, nobody going to protect your house like you. There's nobody. You hear what I tell you?
I agree with you, man. Nobody should love your place like you, right?
Hey, look out. The best I ever felt in my life was the last election when I went in to that room and I put an X down by Elvis Jackson McKeewan. You see?
Mm-hmm.
I knew who I was voting for and what I was voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Like I try to tell them, a lot of us came out, we know who we voting for, but we don't know what we voting for.
Right.
And we have to tell the people, listen, this is what we are voting for. We want our people in these positions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I tell you something. We all see men. All of us see men.
Mm-hmm.
How much a Caymanian that is on the police boat in the Marine Park?
Mm-hmm.
We don't trust some of us.
But that's
what you're telling me.
Yeah, but it's not strange, right? And I'll be guided again because we sometimes have a perspective and sometimes it's emotive and sometimes it's influenced by perhaps something else. But take the seafaring heritage and take the affinity for the seas as well. Is this that on one hand, we say, well, boy, in less than 3 or 4 decades, we've gone from, as Stuart Wilson just uses his line, a sleeper fishing village to this, mega financial, mecca, as it were. Is it then that we would take the guys who are very skilled at handling a boat, but maybe they didn't have that academic credential, that piece of paper, but they could run you in a boat as safely and as efficiently, effectively, and as best as the best of them. But we'll take somebody who has a piece of paper but no local knowledge, little or no boat handling skills, and we'll train them because they speak like this or that, as opposed to, how the people in here talk.
Yeah, exactly. But let me tell you something. When you out there on a boat and you in rough weather, your piece of paper don't help you then, Your knowledge and your balls and what is built into you, that's where it helps them. And I'll start out and give somebody else a time. But
thank you, man.
Like I say, thank you very much for something, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for placing the call and for having the passion. And perhaps through the time, we'll appreciate that sometimes we say things and people may not be willing to hear it because of who's saying it. But if we listen, we will actually learn. So thank you very much, Mr. Elvis. All right. Is that time to take that break, Mr. P? Okay, let's do that. And when we come back, I want to share with you a few comments from some of our listeners and invite you to share yours as well. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy. Service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy. Wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Back to school. Education is knowing the best back-to-school specials are at Reflections. Step into savings with up to 50% off selected footwear brands. Buy 1 pair and get the second pair of back-to-school shoes at 25% off. Save 50% off on all U.S. Polo handbags and backpacks. Ladies, don't miss the amazing daily deals in the clearance section on special selected women's fashions. Keep it classic with Levi jeans in a wide variety of styles and sizes from 28 to 48. And for the freshest gear, check out the new stock of Nike, Puma, Adidas, Johnny Cotton, and more. The best back-to-school savings are at Reflections. Find them on Shedden Road beside the Mango Tree. Open daily from 9 a.m. till after dark.
We'll be the coolest kids in school.
Breitling watches are defined by quality, innovation, and style. And you have the chance to win one in August during Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary sweepstakes. Each month, lucky shoppers have the chance to win a piece of jewelry or a watch from luxury brands. Every purchase of $100 at any Kirk Freeport store gains you entry into the monthly drawing. So stop in today. Next up, September's prize is the Chopard Happy Dreams bracelet. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Celebrate home with Tomlinson Furniture 47th Anniversary Sale. Save 25% store-wide now through September 3rd on nearly everything. Living room to bedroom furniture, dining tables and sets, home office, desks and chairs, decor, mattresses and more. Register to win a $500 gift card with each purchase. Also receive a free gift with every purchase of over $100. Shop and save store-wide during Tomlinson Furniture's 47th Anniversary Sale. Come by and visit our showroom on the 1st and 2nd floor of the Tomlinson Building, corner of Hospital and Walkers Road.
You know the easiest way to get free food? No, not go steal your neighbor's mango, but plant a tree. Yeah, for real. More trees, more food, less grocery bills. To celebrate Her Majesty Queen Platinum Jubilee, come plant a tree for the Jubilee. Yeah, we need you. Yes, you. Make sure you leave your green mark on the Cayman Islands. Perhaps a mango tree, a little gidip tree, even a little bit of coconut or cabbage. Is it time we all started eating off the land again? Register your tree and leave your green print at www.gov.ky/National Tree Planting. Or make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Plant a tree for the Jubilee. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Government, Ministry for Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Let's green Cayman now.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. It is open line here on Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. 949-8037, 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. Let's share with you a few of the comments from our listeners, and I'll go through and read some of them and see what you think. Sort of speaks to some of the things we were talking about earlier. And let's start with maybe some of the first ones, go back to where we are in this, right? And I think more and more we're not fully understanding where we are. Some of the initial comments resonate from with what was shared earlier, as Mr. Stuart Wilson was talking about the old Savannah Schoolhouse and the construction. And 3 comments came in saying, why? And it's not that there was a question being asked necessarily to be rhetorical, but it certainly wasn't to elicit a response from Mr. Wilson. But the question one was, why does it seem so difficult to build using the traditional methods? Now, the craftsmanship, one chimed in and said, okay, you need to know how to build using that. Perhaps the wattle and daub technique with the coral and the like may not be something that is environmentally accepted now or even possible. But perhaps the technology is there that we could reinterpret and apply it in such a way that not only pays homage to it, but perhaps give us the benefits from what the older folks use and why. The other one talked about the issue that if we see other jurisdictions that have buildings that are much older and much more sort of susceptible to the elements than our older Caymanian structures of the wattle and daub, perhaps we can help to add certain things like air conditioning, electrical and the like, without taking away from the historical significance of the building. The third comment gave reference to the library and what is now the library, the old Westway Town Hall and the like, where modern conveniences like electricity and air conditioning in more recent times were added. Now there may be other ways. Here are a couple of other comments, and you share as you wish. This one says, perhaps Caymanians need to take more pride in their culture. Perhaps they feel that their culture and heritage are being taken for granted. And as Caymanians, we probably are more inclined to look down on it as being less than. The scriptures talk about a prophet, not being, so a prophet is not without honor save in his own country. So you find others from elsewhere are much more appealing than your own. The sentiments of feelings of inadequacy can lead to us feeling a sense of self-loathing, and that old mentality of the crabs in a bucket syndrome reminds me of a fellow who said, once just recently, the fisherman comes to shore, he has 3 buckets of crabs. One is the Spanish crab, and one is the Italian crab, and one is the other crab, and 2 are covered, and the people are saying, well, why are 2 covered and not this other one? And he says, well, these 2 here that are covered, if one gets out, he'll help the others out. This one is uncovered, this one that tries to get out, the others will pull them down, right? So you can apply that to whatever situation or nationality you want. That ties into this comment that the perception that people may have in the country that if it's from foreign, it's better, it's more sophisticated, it's more important. And if as Caymanians we don't appreciate our own culture and history, then perhaps the young people will not grow to have any pride in who we are and where we're coming from. And sadly, there are daily examples where Caymanians do want to go to Caymanian doctors or to the public hospital or to places like that because they assume that it's not up to par because it's local. They'll go overseas to places, get perhaps the same, similar, or even not as good, or the treatment or the goods or the service, but they feel like it's better and they'll pay more for it because, well, it's not from here. We don't seem to have that same level of trust and respect for each other and for our own. Well, what do you think about those comments thus far? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Let's take this caller. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon to our listeners. How's everybody?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Hi. Trying to make the best of it. We had a rainy day here in the Bright, but it's clearing up now. It looks like it's going to be a good afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. Okay, talking about the diesel deliveries, about the tankers bringing the diesel and the gasoline. You got one in there now that just did a delivery for Rubis to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. That's where it came from. One of their off Jackson's Point now. Just to let the residents of Cayman Bracknell, I know several people called me to find out where the diesel comes from and where it's loaded, etc. And I always keep up with that kind of stuff. And the last one that came to Cayman Brack brought us Mobile diesel, which was made from crude oil. Right there at the refinery in Mobile, Alabama, we had a small quantity on a big tanker, 600 foot, and it came here with the last amount of roughly 3,000 drums. Well, that would equate to 4,000 barrels approximately. So on these tankers now that Rubis been chartering several months ago, they were going $10,000 to $15,000 per ship per day. And now the price for those 600-foot long tankers averaging around 50,000 tons, 45 to 50,000 tons. Because of the demand for the products in the United States, diesel, gasoline, and jet fuel have skyrocketed prices for the size Rubis tankers. A lot of them now are being paid and earning $45,600, up from $10,000 to $15,000 per day, because of the cut off of the fuel that Russia was supplying many places. I mean, Russia and even Ukraine. Because of the cutoff for that, America have this massive demand for gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. That's what has caused the price to go up. And as we know what the prices are here, and quite an interesting thing, the prices will increase before the tanker comes, not saying after the tanker comes to be a new shipment and be a new price. That's really alarming. Many times the prices in the Cayman Islands increase before the tanker comes. Now, saying it increase after is quite a logical factor, but increasing it before the tanker comes, and after it comes, they don't do it. So we are paying very high prices in the Cayman Islands and many other things, including survival for all of us. Like, I'm self-employed and I don't get 1 cent from anything else but my heavy equipment business, and the price of diesel are so high and continues to go up, not 10 cents or 15 cents, but jumping all like 80 cents on a dollar. That is an enormous amount, and we are told that it's Rubis that is instructing the people to increase the prices. So that is something that has been numerous factors and discussions and things talked about, and many people still arrives at a dead end, a brick wall, as to knowing the factor, how it's contributed down to the price increase with the diesel and gasoline.
But how do we fix that then? All right.
For know just how to cope with it, because who is going to do anything?
Well, what can they do if they wanted?
National prices, the price of crude oil has went down quite a bit. It was like $135 per barrel, and was down around $100. So the price of crude oil that they make the gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel from has went down. But when you hear about the prices go down, it really doesn't go down in the Cayman Islands. It always stays up high.
Right.
Another factor about our goods, groceries.
Yeah, Mr. Raymond, I don't want to disrespect you. We do have the news break. You want to hang on or call back?
Yeah, I'll hang on.
Okay, and then we have another call after you as well, all right? All right, please just join us right after the news.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. A 49-year-old man has been formally charged with 3 counts of possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply, and a 36-year-old man was granted bail as investigations continue after police discovered packages of cocaine and ganja at a home in Bodden Town. The 49-year-old man appeared before the court on Friday, August 19th, and was remanded until Tuesday, August 23rd. In international news, the embalmed heart of Brazil's first emperor, Dom Pedro I, has arrived in the capital, Brasilia, to mark 200 years of independence from Portugal. The heart, which lies preserved in a flask filled with formaldehyde, was flown on board a military plane from Portugal. It will be received with military honors before going on public display at the Foreign Ministry. The heart will be returned to Portugal after Brazil's Independence Day. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and their children are moving from Kensington Palace in West London to a cottage on the Queen's Windsor estate. Their new home, Adelaide Cottage, is a 10-minute walk from Windsor Castle. It marks a new chapter, according to their friends, an attempt to ensure as normal an upbringing as possible for their 3 children. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we have a couple of other callers on, but we just quickly return to Mr. Raymond. Hey, thanks very much for sharing, Mr. Raymond. We've got a few others after you, so thank you for sharing.
Yes, sir. One more thing.
Yes, sir.
About the cost of living with household goods and the main important things for us due to the Russia-Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm.
It said that because of the world having a food crisis, is why the price has gone up in the supermarket so much. Well, let me tell you exactly, or something very close. The food crisis was not the entire world food crisis because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. It was a food crisis between Ukraine, Russia, and the countries in Europe and the Far East and Africa that Ukraine and Russia used to supply with wheat, corn, soybean, vegetable oil, and all of those products. United States still have millions of tons of wheat, corn, soybean, ships passing the Cayman Islands every day, going back and forth to all over the world, continuing to do their supply. But everyone is telling us because of a food shortage up there is why the stuff has to go up in the shops here, when there was no food shortage in the United States like that, because they still producing wheat, corn, soybean, and things like that, barley, maize, wheat, rice, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a genuine excuse for things to go up in the Cayman Islands and other places in the world, saying it's a world food crisis. But what I just explained to you is the countries, islands and countries in Africa, the Far East, Mediterranean, Europe, that those two countries were providing to had a food crisis and a food shortage. But the Caribbean and where America was supplying, still everything went on the same way. There was no shortage, only because America had to supply more to those countries that Ukraine and Russia didn't supply to, caused the prices to go up. The same thing with the gasoline and diesel. Everything is being blamed on the war. But the fact is what I just told you there.
Well, and you're right, and this is where I like when you read and you share what you know. Thanks very much, and hopefully we as a people can take that on board and not get caught up with it. Thanks again, Mr. Irman, for always being so informative. Let's take this other caller. Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Joanne. How are you today?
Very well, sir. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Well, first of all, it was very interesting, of course, to listen to the callers, but also the first two interviews you had. I mean, today you went quite strong on the culture and the history. It was very good to continue to learn more about how a small country like Cayman developed these tentacles in the Bay Islands in different places, Nicaragua and so on. But why I called OC, I'm mentioning OC because I'm about to say that I want to share something with you, which I shared with OC this morning and the ministers.
Okay, thanks.
And this one has to do with again the judiciary. We have to be careful when we discuss the judiciary. We need to remain wherever possible as general as we can. What I shared with Mr. Bryan and Minister Saunders was that, you see, we need greater accountability in the judiciary, even as we respect the judiciary, even as we recognize that it is important for them to be independent, because that is in our interest as well. But at the same time, there should be no institution of government that is beyond authority. And every time I discuss anything of this nature, I tend to go back to the lesson I learned listening to, reading the Bible, and Jesus Christ encountered this centurion. And the centurion at that time was a person who would command 100 men. And the centurion said to Jesus Christ, said, Master, I may be in charge of 100 men under my command, but I too am under authority. And that really stuck with me for a long time, which shows that nobody is beyond authority. All of us are supposed to be accountable, and that includes the judiciary. You see, so with the judiciary, I say that to say this. There is still a problem in the Cayman judiciary to know if you complain against a judge. And when you complain against a judge, you can't complain about the decision. If you've got a problem with the decision, you appeal it. But if you've got a matter which relates to the conduct of a judge, the behavior of a judge, then you are supposed to go and complain to, at the moment for Grand Court judges, you go to the Chief Justice. But what has happened over the years is that in 2009, there was this good provision in the Constitution. If you want to complain against a Grand Court judge, you go to the Judicial and Legal Service Commission, and they used to publish how many complaints they had. Like between 2012 and 2015, in their report, they indicate that they had 9 complaints against judges. Now, they didn't say how they ended. But later on in 2016, the Constitution was amended so that power was now taken away from the Commission and given to the Chief Justice. And since then, basically, the system has died. We don't know how many judges are complained against. We do not know what the result is. And the question that I asked the minister was, look, does your government support the idea that we should know at least how many judges have been complained about and how the decision, how the matters were decided? Okay? And the reason I asked that was because, as you know, in these matters, if, say, you get 20 complaints per year, or 30 complaints per year, then you know there might be a problem. Particularly if you find that all those complaints in the end up with the judge being exonerated, then you know there's a problem. So the solution might be legislative and political. And so I've been advocating for the idea that, first of all, the Chief Justice must develop rules under which you can make complaints. At the moment, there have been no rules. For 6 years now, since the Chief Justice took over, there are no rules which govern that. And yet, under the Commission, there used to be rules. Everybody has rules, Dwayne, ombudsman, in relation to planning and the liquor licensing, you name it, they all have rules. But the Chief Justice, who has criticized a lot of people, doesn't have rules. And just closing, let me say this. A lot of people, of course, say that, you see, judges we must leave them alone. I think we should remember that the judges are human beings. And I always refer to this case in Bermuda of a judge who I won't call his name. He used to be a president of the Court of Appeal in Bermuda. He was a knighted person, he was from Jamaica. That person also used to sit as a Court of Appeal judge in the Cayman Islands. It was found after a certain investigation. Some people wanted certain recordings which they said had been made, and these were unrepresented people. They wanted to take a matter to the Privy Council, and the judge and his personal assistant, as well as the lawyer who they hired because the matter became really serious, they said, no, these recordings don't exist. 7 years later, the civil advocacy group I'm associated with in Bermuda managed to get an investigation by the Information Commissioner, and they found that these recordings actually existed and that the judge and the personal assistant were lying all along. So these things do happen. And by the way, as a result of that, reforms were introduced in Bermuda to ensure that all appeal cases, when they are being heard, that they should be recorded and that people should have access to the recording. It led to reform. So in the same way in Cayman, if there can be a little bit more publicity on certain things, you can't be too public. Like if anybody just comes and complains against a judge, they've got no grounds. You can't go public with that because that's not good for the judiciary either. But I think it's necessary, for the proper balance to be found, and there should be a little bit more accountability of judges than leaving them alone, because that's where the world is moving. Even in England, they've got a very big now system for complaining against judges in Canada as well as other places. I just thought I should share that. I think it is very important for you people to understand that there must be a balance. We must not just feed all authority to the judiciary. They too must be held accountable. They should be independent but accountable.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And for what it's worth, I'll just share with you that perhaps because of your public comments, others have been encouraged, those connected to the legal profession, have been informally sharing some of the same sentiments that you have. So maybe that's a good thing. Huh? Hey, thanks very much.
Thank you for mentioning that to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Let's take one more call if we can. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, how are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good, man. Interesting conversation across the board.
Yeah, well, listen, it could be the start of Monday, man. And it's going to get better with you.
While listening to the last caller's concerns about the judiciary system and what he mentioned about some things changing where responsibility was removed from one entity to the Chief Justice, or I correct me if I'm wrong, but there used to be a system where it was publicized how many complaints were on a judge, right? And the public had an opportunity to see that. I don't know if you remember. You remember when they launched the FOI law, where you can file a Freedom of Information Act on certain things, and then the PPM government went back in and reformed it and exempted a few entities, including themselves, from being subjected to the FOI request. Now, we just saw where these documents and these policies were always being adjusted to accommodate the persons who would have been held responsible or accountable, had the process been fair and measured across the board. But anyway, what I really call in about, because obviously I heard Mr. Raymond talking about fuel and food and cost. One thing I want to remind the public here, when we see the prices increasing at the pumps, certainly any conversation that is being had on a news platform or international platform about increasing or a reason to increase fuel, somehow magically our prices go up at the pump. Mr. Raymond was right. But what I want to remind the public, right, whereas this war in the Ukraine and Russia was the center of the reasoning why we saw these prices increase, let me just remind the public that 75% of all refined product that goes into the U.S. Gulf Coast comes from the Middle East, not Russia. And Rubis buy their fuel from the Gulf at U.S. Platte prices. Then they store it at their facility in the Bahamas. Then they load it from the Bahamas facility, and it makes a Caribbean loop. And then Cayman is the last stop on the leg. So when you look at the amount of handling of those goods before you get to our pumps, now one would imagine that nobody's handling it for free, so there's a markup incorporated into the cost of our fuel. Now my question is this, Sterling: it is 100% pass-through cost at the utility company for consumers to pay for their fuel, including the duties that government charges per gallon. Why in the world would the utility company even be interested in buying fuel from somebody who is like a ninth party to the retail side of the thing, and then that has to be absorbed by the public, because in the contract they have 100% pass-through cost as the responsibility of the general public. This is where the government needs to start looking and stop sidestepping real issue. I'm just tired of politicians getting up in public and saying, "Oh, we're dealing with it." Dealing with what? And for how long? The public is wise enough now to understand that the political measuring stick is not in the best interest of the public. It's only in the best interest of the politician. So we need to start being way more actively involved in decisions that government making by way of constitutional order. We need to start implementing referendums if we have to. If we got to run this country by referendums, then so be it.
More active engagement by the electorate.
Yes, exactly. So, and sometimes it's just the threat of a referendum that may get them to move off the block and do the right thing.
As I listen to you, that's the democracy, right? The people need to take a voice and be informed and be engaged, be involved, and be willing to take the stand, right?
Exactly. So, anyway, I just thought I would share that, and everybody made good points, and it's good. From what I heard, everything was a good show this afternoon.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, too, for sharing. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your afternoon. All right, listen, Monday gets well. We're going to pause, final break. When we come back, who knows? It might be your turn. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Celebrate home with Tomlinson Furniture 47th Anniversary Sale. Save 25% store-wide now through September 3rd on nearly everything. Living room to bedroom furniture, dining tables and sets, home office, desks and chairs, decor, mattresses and more. Register to win a $500 gift card with each purchase. Also receive a free gift with every purchase of over $100. Shop and save store-wide during Tomlinson Furniture's 47th Anniversary Sale. Come by and visit our showroom on the first and second floor of the Tomlinson Building, corner of Hospital and Walker's Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. You want to share a thought with us? You want to ask a question? You might just be confused about something, or you might want confirmation. Hey, 949-8037. Or toll free with the compliments of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. I'm going to read something that was sent to us on the WhatsApp, but let's maybe quickly think back to the many comments that were made today, and even as we draw inference from our guests. What are we saying? Well, do we want a healthy democracy where we are participating as the populace? But specifically, we as the electors, the voters, where are we? Are we sitting down with, eyes closed, fingers in our ears, ignoring, pretending that what is isn't, wishing and praying but not acting to change? Is it that we are fearful because the person that wields the big stick has not only threatened but demonstrated that they can act with impunity, or so they think? So we are coward, and we are kowtowing to all of them. And when we see the one that is beaten, we're not going to stand against it. We're going to run and hide. Now, remember, if that was the way our forefathers lived, would we be enjoying the spoils of today? Now, you might not necessarily, hopefully you never had that experience, but you may have heard of it. Maybe the bully in the schoolyard. What happened? Always continued to act in that way until somebody took him in hand and stood up. It may not mean that they won that round, but they demonstrated that they would not stand for the injustices. They would not stand, for the abuse of power. They will not allow authority to be exercised in such a judicious manner that they can act with that impunity that they so presumed. But it takes that word that Mr. Maker always reminds us: courage. Not just courage on the fire, but courage with grace. Courage with a willingness to stand and be counted in, to do the right thing, because it is indeed the right thing to do. Well, let's read this message from one of our listeners and share with you a corresponding thought that came in subsequent to this from a different listener, but perhaps the same sort of mantra. It says, good afternoon. It says, COVID isn't the only deadly virus we are contending with today. We're also having to contend with a pandemic of meanness, which is creating an atmosphere of vitriol, hatred, dishonor, and disrespect. The scary thing is that we started to get used to it, to take it for granted. Atmosphere matters. If you go into a restaurant and it doesn't smell good inside, it really won't matter how well the food was prepared. If the smell is bad, it permeates and contaminates even the best meal. Today, the atmosphere in our culture has picked up a nasty smell. Everyone is being impolite and uncaring. They get on the internet and say things that they might never say in person. They belittle and cancel and blame others for what annoys them. And in this toxic environment, our culture has just becomes more mean and more impatient. It says, God's people, we need to set a new atmosphere for our culture. We need to create a culture of kindness. Well, thank you for sharing that. That sort of ties in with a comment from another. Let me pull that up here for a second. Who similarly are unconnected, and I don't make that by presumption or inference, but given the other comments previously, this other individual shares it in a way, perhaps not with the same level of eloquence and prose, but suggests that in this country, we're becoming people who are quick to favor materialism and financial wealth over friendships and meaningful relationships. We're increasingly becoming a people for whom status, and no, not the kind that leads you to a better passport or lifestyle, but status is measured by how good you look online, the events you attend, and for some, how big the check you can write. We're becoming a people where it seems that you can quickly belittle, and this was what made me look at the message that came in, many moons prior to this one. We're becoming a people who are quickly willing to belittle each other, who believe that getting ahead is at the expense of the other. We are no longer our brother's keeper. In fact, we don't even know who our brother is. We ignore and deny, and yet we fail to understand why. We may sometimes fall from grace. Hey, I appreciate those who take time to call, those who take time to write and share things, and even some who may say, you may not be able to read this, please don't read this specifically, but at least they're willing to share a thought. Let us know how we can engage you, how we can help to, through you, share the sentiments that you're thinking, and perhaps how we can be reminded that the greatest exercise of power is restraint. The golden rule isn't he who has the goal, nor he who has the gun, makes the rule. Maybe some of us, unfortunately, would want to be treated in a bad way. That's how and why we treat others. Maybe it's the expectation as to why. And if that is the case, then we need to see, as the first message I shared, a culture of kindness. Not just in words, not just something that's flowery and flattering, but genuinely through actions. You can see the sincerity. Remember the days of old when someone would say, "Look me in the white of my eyes." So you can see their heart. You can see the sincerity. It may mean that they were saying something that you did not want to hear, but it was something that was true. But it may mean that they were genuine and sincere in what they wanted to share to ensure that you drew alongside. So we move forward together. Now, I always try to champion that mantra, and for some they may see it as naive. It's not a noble endeavor, but it's just a sincere one that we are more alike, and if we work together and if we call out the egregious actions of others, if we are unwilling to allow injustices to prevail, if we're unwilling to let people act with impunity, and if we're willing to stand alongside our brothers and our sisters, to link arms and to move forward together, and to recognize that respect begets respect, perhaps we will find that society that we were attracted to, why we see the willing sacrifices and services of those who've gone before. But if we are going to measure ourselves by our materialism, if we are willing to, and I won't speak to it today because, well, one, not just the timing and the content of the programming, but a number of you have shared a lot of comments, some of which perhaps you also shared in other forum, including, that space we call online, about not just the demolition of that wall off Walker's Road, but what the wall and the way it was demolished could potentially represent. The comments that some of us have heard from the people connected to it, as one individual shared with me, just shows not only a glaring disrespect for the country, its history, and its people, but an insensitivity. As one individual, I don't know whether it's Caymanian or non-Caymanian, male or female, or what age, and for me that's immaterial. The comment of that person was, if you house something that is in existence, whether it's legally protected or not, or whether it is, erected in a way, the fact that it is there and there is an appeal by people to say, hey, show a bit of deference. And you say, well, legally I'm entitled to do this, it's mine so I can. Well, what does that say about, your mindset? Well, thank each and every one of you. And sometimes, you grab and you hug and you hold. But sometimes you restrain and you remind people that their behavior is unbecoming. It's not what a civil, stable society expects. Accountability. As you're responsible, be held accountable. Join us tomorrow for more Talk Today right after the midday news. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village.